Vanderbilt is building an identity of toughness throughout the program. Are they going to be elite on defense? Well, we're going to find out. Camp days 3 and 4 happened, and it's good for the defense. Here we go.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day, and shout out to you everydayers. Thanks for making us part of your day, and thanks for making us your first listen and or first view. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So today's episode, we're going to feature the ebbs and flows of camp life. We know what that looks like, but Vanderbilt is trying to, and I think they're successfully building an identity and a culture centered around toughness. The competition so far through 4 days is intense, and there's a lot of massive signs of growth in a lot of areas throughout the team. So I'm really loving what's happening here with the team. I think that the camp stuff is going extremely well. I knew once they put the pads on that the defense would respond, and yes, they have responded. And there's a lot of standouts. There's a lot of things there, but like the culture of toughness, I think is something that should be talked about and should be mentioned because, I think it's showing throughout different aspects of the program. I mean, you saw bits and pieces of it last year. They're really more so, I wouldn't say they're establishing it. I think they're reestablishing it and enhancing it probably is a better descriptor of that. But like you're seeing the receivers getting after it with physicality, like they're taking pride in blocking on the perimeter. That's not the thing that's not the thing that highlights them, but they are taking umbrage in that. The offensive line is just road grading people in the run game. Could they improve a little bit in the pass game? Yeah, sure. But they're flat getting after it. If you just look, strength and conditioning was highly effective. I mean, people are getting bigger, stronger, faster. I mean, you're just getting guys that are straight balling, man. Like Miles Capers looks like a totally different dude. Coming off the edge in these team periods, they've got the shells on now. They can hit a little bit. They're still not tackling to the ground because they're not in full pads yet, but they're in enough pads to really have some live sessions at the tempo. And so I like the competitiveness of this whole thing. I like the fact that the wide receivers and DBs are going one-on-one. They're going back and forth. One guy will win a rep, and the other guy will win. And to me, it seems like in reading these reports, and shout out to all the outlets here reporting on some things. I think there's really good information, really good intel there. So On3, 247, and SI, all three doing a phenomenal job with their camp takeaway. So, but it's just taking that pride in the toughness, right? Taking that pride in never giving up, fighting till the last bit. I mean, it's just it's awesome to see, and I think this culture is something that is not just with Diego Pavia. I think that this team is going to embrace that identity, and I think this is going to be something, as long as Clark Lee is here, that's going to be passed down from the seniors and the guys that are leaving, and then the next crop of guys coming in and things like that. So I think this is something that's going to be you're just going to kind of see that's just going to be who Vanderbilt is, right? They're going to flat get after you on the defensive line. Khordae Sydnor, outstanding. He is strong, fast. He almost seems untouchable, and he's developing into quite the NFL prospect, somebody who struggled to get on the field at Purdue. Came down here, developed under Clark Lee. That just shows just where Clark Lee is as a coach. Was he always successful as a head coach? No. But when it comes to development, when it comes to coaching on the defensive side of the ball, that's where he's elite. He got back to those roots, found something that works, and now he's back in the head coaching role, and I think he's sitting in a much better place because I think he needed to go back down to get himself comfortable to where he could do that kind of stuff. So, or where he could develop and where he could kind of develop himself as a head coach. But just like developing players like Khordae Sydnor, who transferred in from Purdue, struggled at Purdue, but wasn't quite getting the development, couldn't quite crack the rotation, comes to Vanderbilt, becomes a star, maybe even revitalizes or launches himself into NFL, into an NFL, a legitimate NFL prospect. So it's just all about the identity, the toughness, right? It's why they were in so many games last year. It was something that was established last year, and you saw it. They just ran out of gas. I think if they had a little bit more depth, I think if they had a full cycle and a half of strength and conditioning with Coach Steiner, which they're sitting at right now, they're in a much different place now than they were a year ago. So that 4-touchdown loss against South Carolina may not be – that's not the same team. The team that fell apart in the second quarter of the Tennessee game and ended up losing that one, I think by 11. Totally different team, right? And even a totally different team than the one that beat Alabama. Like, it's a better team, a tougher team, a more physical team, more competitive team, and I think even more a situationally smart team. And I think all of that goes into that mental toughness that it takes to kind of withstand some of the adversity, because the 23 version of the Commodores in a lot of those games would have faltered, would have folded like a cheap suit, would have folded like a lawn chair easily, and would have gotten blown out of every single game. And I don't even think they beat Ball State. There's a lot of games they don't win if they carry that same toughness that the 23 team had. And it's a weird thing when it comes to culture. You've got to have leaders that send the message out, or it's just words, or it's just like when you're watching Charlie Brown and the Peanuts, is the wah, 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 wah. That's what Coach Lee starts to sound like when you don't have a good culture in your locker room, when you don't have the right nucleus, when you don't have the right leaders that are echoing these points and that are incorporating these throughout the team and making sure the team buys into that. If you don't have that, you're screwed. That's what they had in 23. 24, they had some great leaders, some guys that stepped up, and they win 7 games. Is it what they wanted? No, they wanted to win 12, obviously. But I think if you ask anybody on that team, they're like, okay, we'll take that and we'll raise it as we go. Like, the foundation, I think, is set. They're going to continue to lay the groundwork into being a sustainable winning program. And I think the culture of toughness is there. I think taking pride in the little things, right, and blocking at the wide receiver position was just one of those things. But, Cole Spence, SI interview, or Joey Dwyer from SI interviewed Cole Spence, and he talked about how proud he was to be a blocker. He said he enjoys doing that. He enjoys being a part of the game. He enjoys affecting the game in that matter. And that's culture, man. That's buy-in. Like, that kind of thing. Like, every tight end wants to catch passes. Everybody wants to be Gronk or Kelsey or whatever tight end you want to think of. Everybody wants to do that. But sometimes situations don't call for that. Sometimes situations call for you to stay in pass protection. Okay, I'm going to do the best I can. Some situations call for you to block to double a 7 technique with the tackle and drive him down, or down block on a 7 technique by yourself and be responsible for that guy. Sometimes it calls for that. And Cole Spence took that and ran with it. He took that and took pride in that and said, you know what, I'm going to be the best blocker on the team. I'm going to help these 5 guys because they're laying it out on the line. I'm going to do the same. So this is, it has its challenges. Does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it sucks when you get like 3 catches all year and you're not really much into the passing game. You're not really running many routes. You're not really doing a whole lot there. But it's just because he's bought in, it's infectious. The other guys, they buy in. Everybody around him sees that. I guarantee the offensive line sees that and they go, look, this guy's not complaining one bit. I'm going to block my, off. I'm going to block my butt off. All right. The running backs see that. They're like, you know what? I got to get these tough yards, right? And then they see the receivers, right? the receivers, Pavia, the running back, see the receivers out there making running lanes. Hell, Quincy Skinner got a Springer block from Diego Pavia in the bowl game. And I guarantee you that sticks in their mind, and they say, you know what? If our, just with Diego Pavia being an example, if Diego is willing to throw his body in front of a defender for me, shoot, I'm going to make this catch. I'm going to run this route. I'm going to block for him if he comes out on the perimeter. I'm going to make sure that we have the best team that we can possibly have. Defensively, same thing, right? It's not necessarily blocking, but it's like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to, I'm the one technique. I'm going to get double teamed. They're going to try to drive me, but I could try to be a hero, break this double team and make the play. But you know what? I'm just going to absorb this, stalemate it, and let Langston get in there and make a tackle, or let Brian Longwell get in there and make a tackle, or you know what? I'm gonna attract the attention of this tackle so that Capers can come off the edge, blow up a running back, and get a sack. Right? Things like that. It's just like the unselfish moves, the unselfish maneuvers. Everybody wants stats. Everybody wants NIL. Everybody wants that. But when you win, guess what? All of that takes care of itself. And to win, you have to be together. You have to be in that culture. So this team, I think, is building that identity now, building that culture and all of that stuff. So, I just wanted to, that's my takeaway just comprehensively of the first 4 days, is that offense is doing their thing. Defense is doing their thing. The right amount of reps are getting won. The competition is there. The toughness is there. Each side is going to forge the other, right? Defense is exposing some of the offense's weaknesses so they can work on it, and vice versa, right? Offense is attacking the defense, and obviously defense is a little bit further along, but that's fine. But it's all the work in progress. It's all just everyone's complementing each other. It's a culture of toughness. It's a culture of competition, and it's a culture of winning spirit, championship mentality. I'm curious to see kind of where we're at game wise. It's going to be a fun ride. I guarantee you, if things continue to progress the way they're progressing, this team could be very, very dangerous. We're going to talk about specifically, because the defense, pads come on, defense ignites. We're going to talk about how they stood out next. Speaking of standing out, Monarch Money just stands out as the elite money managing platform, because they just make it easy, man. Monarch Money, that is, they make it easy. Whether you're growing a savings account or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Like I said, elite. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And guess what, man? Like, I say this all the time. I guess I'm just addicted to it. I'm addicted to takeout, and Monarch Money lets me know that. It reminds me of that fact. It says, "Oh, Corey, you should. If it could talk, it would say, Corey, you should stop spending money on takeout. You'd be a lot richer if you did." And you know what? I've made an adjustment. It allows me to set goals, and I might already be seeing some financial gain. So take control of your finances now with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Locked On SEC, place to go. Camp is underway. A lot of people are getting after it. If you want to hear the latest and greatest, Chris Khordae has you covered across the entire conference. So it's really, really a great show. So 4 days of camp are down, right? There was an off day Saturday. The energy is there. Like, one of the biggest takeaways just overall, the energy is there. The competitiveness is there. I love the energy. I love how guys are getting after it. I love how intense things are. And I love the trash talking that probably comes with it, right? I'm a big fan of all of that, because I think this team is getting better and better and better. They're starting to realize that. And this is, I'm telling you, man, this is a good thing. This is something that I think you should take into consideration. It's, a lot of guys are showing out. Carson Lawrence, I think, is somebody through the first 4 days. He is, he's somebody that as a freshman could find his way into the lineup. This defense, when they had a defense won the day. Defense has won the day both days of this weekend, right? And I'll start with number 3. Once the pads came on, the defense is flying around. They're creating takeaway opportunities. That's the biggest thing with this whole thing. Is one of the biggest goals for this defense, was get off the field on third down. We don't know how that's progressing. They're just flying around. They're making plays. They're creating opportunities for takeaways. And to me, that was the other thing I thought they could do. The offense did them a favor last year by not giving the ball away very much. I think Diego Pavia had 4 picks and 2 fumbles, and I think there was there was 9 total giveaways. I think something stupid like that. But the defense really didn't take away much either, or as much as they probably could have. Now they're creating takeaway opportunities. They're creating opportunities for the quarterback to make errant throws. They're creating opportunities to punch the ball out. They're working on it. I mean, you see them. They did the peanut punch drill. I love seeing this stuff on social media, man. I love seeing what's going on because I teach and I can't be there every day. And so I just have to react. But takeaway opportunities is the biggest thing to me. And, does it give concern for the offense that they're giving the ball away? I mean, naturally, yeah. I guess you could say naturally there's some concern there. Like, okay, well, if they're doing all this, am I concerned with the offense and giving the ball away? The answer is this. As concerned as I am, it's a scenario where you kind of have to look at it this way through the fall camp lens. Okay. Because I think there's a little bit of a notion that this defense knows the offense. They know what's coming. They know what's happening. And so naturally, I think there's going to be a little bit of a, I don't want to say domination, but like there's a little bit of anticipation to what's going to happen. There's going to be a little bit of anticipation on route concepts, tendencies, situational things. The defense has the script. The offense has the defensive script. Like there's some of that involved. So like this is not necessarily an indicator of, they're going to be the number 1 turnover team in the country, or they're going to be, dead last in turnovers, or however the offensive version is, because I don't think the offense is going to be quite that bad. I don't think the defense is going to be quite that bad. So, or quite that good. I think it's going to be, they're going to both come towards the middle a little bit, but it is good that they're creating these opportunities. It is good that they're getting these reps. They know what it takes. They know what it means. And, for Vanderbilt, like them knowing for the offense, it's going to allow them to create some diagnostic stuff. They're going to be able to watch film and say, okay, we're good here. We're not so good here. Like teams are going to notice this. We better shore this up. Defensively, same thing. Like, oh, we're not good here. We're good there. Okay, let's build this so that this can be really good. Things like that. Like you're creating systems, and to do that, you had to lose some reps, right? Because it'd be more concerning if like the defense was a complete avalanche, which they pretty much were last season in camp. Like the defense avalanched the offense on several occasions. The offense was just fine, right? Now it's more even. So I think, the offense is elevated. The defense is elevated. Like they're both elevating each other. So that's good. Same goes with offensive defensive line reps. They're the O-line versus D-line reps. I think there's a lot to that. Like, there's a lot to like playing against your own people that people don't realize, that it can kind of skew things a little bit. But the inside linebackers, man, they look elite. There's 4 of them. Rinaldi, Cowan are the 2 reserves. They could be starters. You could justify them being starters. But Patterson and Longwell are the starters, and they're not giving it up. They're not giving up their position. Like, that's the position you need to be elite. Inside linebacker, if you have elite inside linebacker play, it's a really, really good sign for your defense. Miles Capers looks like a freaking monster out there. Him and Sydnor are going to be dominant on the pass rush. You've got some other guys in there as well, really making some noise on the defensive line. I mean, you've got all kind of things. Mason Nelson is, he's getting some good. He could get in some situational rotation stuff where he comes in pass rushing situations, right? He could do that. And so Colby Taylor, like somebody I was worried about, having a good camp so far. You could justify him being a starter. This is truly amazing. Like the guys that are they're balling out, right? They're getting after it. So, like I said, the ball security is great for defense. It's concerning for offense. It's never good to throw interceptions, but I think if you can learn from them, it won't matter. It won't affect anything. This is the chance you have. This is when you throw the interceptions. This is when you learn. You don't learn when live bullets are flying against Virginia Tech. You don't learn at Williams-Brice Stadium. You survive at Williams-Brice Stadium. You survive on what you learned up until that point. And if you're going to beat South Carolina, throw a few picks in practice. That's cool. Don't throw them at Williams-Brice because you're going to know, like, you're going to figure out real quick how to maneuver in those situations. Pass pro-wise, you're going to figure some things out. Defensively, you're going to figure out how to get to the passer. You're going to figure out how to affect what's happening on that side of the ball. And it's been really, really good. All right. I'm going to talk about the offense. Just read these notes. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the offense next. All right, game time. Yeah, man. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Right? Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. You tired of all the endless scrolling? We'll try finding the best deal. Game Time Zone Deal picks the best seats in the section for you. You ever wonder what your view will actually look like before you buy? Well, the app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay, which means no hidden fees. And if you're worried about what happens if plans change, well, the Game Time guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and much, much more. So why wouldn't you go with Game Time? It's just really the right choice. It's the only choice. Those other guys, forget about it, man. Game Time is where is what you want to be doing when you're looking at concert tickets, game tickets, whatever you want to go to, whatever event you want to go to. Game Time is the place to go. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, wrapping up the show here. Locked on Vandy, man. We're through 4 days of camp. It's exciting, man. Football's here. It's upon us. And this team looks different, man. They look different. Offense stood out the first 2 days, got their timing down. Now pads come on, defense getting after it, flat getting after it. The Steve Gregory era is off to a great start. But we're going to talk a little offense. We talked a little defense, man. They're creating opportunities for takeaways, and they're taking advantage of it, man. The offense was throwing a few interceptions, and defense said, we oblige you, right? So it's a great thing for the defense. Is it a concern for the offense? Well, I can't lie and say I'm not concerned. However, it's good that they're taking these risks. It's good that they're making these throws. It's good that they're able to turn on the film and say, uh-oh, that one got away from me, right? And Diego Pavia was sharp, right? Here's takeaways through 4 days of camp. Diego Pavia is sharp. He's sharp. He's taking risk in camp, which is good. That's what you want to do. Like, if you're good and you're very good, he could very easily go through the motions. Honestly, He really could. He could sit there and go through the motions and, just do what he does, take the safe throw, all that. But you know what? I think if you're going to win in the SEC, you've got to take chances, right? If you're on the cusp of being an elite quarterback, you've got to take chances. And you can't learn how to take those chances if you don't take them in practice against what's turning out to be a really stellar defense, right? And a lot of people are picking Vanderbilt to finish 13th at best, and people are saying even that's a fluke. I don't know, man. This defense is going to be tough, man. And Diego Pavia is getting his work, and he's doing pretty well. I mean, he's taking some risk. He's going to get burned a few times. You're going to read about him there's going to be one day where you're going to read about him and he had a horrible practice. He had a horrible scrimmage. He's going to struggle at some point. Man, the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football have bad days. Because you know what? The other side, the defense, they get paid too. Right? So they make plays, they just have their day. And you learn from it. So I think he's been sharp. He's been making all the right throws. He's been taking all the right chances. I mean, he's been doing all the right things to show his growth. And this is going to help him at Williams-Brice when it's probably the worst environment of all time. At Tuscaloosa, when it's probably the worst environment of all time. Like, he plays in 4 venues that are going to be the worst environment of all time. 4 venues. Williams-Brice, Bryant-Denny, DKR, that's Texas, and Neyland Stadium. Those 4 places are probably the worst 4 stadiums you could possibly play in. And the LSU stadium really, Tiger Stadium, I guess for Vanderbilt really wasn't a factor. For other teams it kind of is, but it really wasn't that much of a factor. I think Williams-Brice is going to be much more raucous. But I digress. He's taking chances. He's doing things to learn from all that stuff. All right, he's got some targets that are emerging, man, right now. I think the guys I have listed are your 3 best receivers, and then you throw in Martell Height as a part-timer, who's just a freak athlete, dude. He's, God almighty, he's going to be good. But Junior Sherrill and Trent Hudson are going to be elite pass catchers. Hudson is that X receiver that you want. Trey Richardson is also another name as a slot. He's going to be elite too. Like these 3 guys, I think are going to finally give you the production that you need at the wide receiver position. And it doesn't need to be a ton. They don't have to be the greatest show on turf. They just have to be productive, make big yards, set up their run game. Because realistically, this is still going to be a running team. This offensive line is built for that, man. They're dominant in run blocking, man. I can't wait to see some film of Bryce Henderson just mauling people. Chase Mitchell mauling people. Jordan White described as violent. Like, this offensive line, man. Cade McConnell could get a start at guard, could start at center and bump Jordan White over to the quick guard. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with these positions. It's still not settled. Even though it was very highly likely at the projection I gave preseason, it's far from over, man. Like, there's some combinations that are working. But they've got to find a combination, honestly, that's going to be better at pass. They've got to find a combination that is just as dominant in run blocking, but a little bit better in pass pro. I don't know what that combination looks like. It may still be the same combination, but they just got to get better footwork. Like, Bryce Henderson is a devastating run blocker, but I think what's going to hurt him at the next level and what's going to hurt him against Virginia Tech and South Carolina and Alabama and LSU, what's going to hurt him is he's getting beat. But the beautiful thing is this. You get to watch those reps. You get to get better. You get to work on your footwork. I love that, right? Offensive defensive line reps, they tell us, here's what they tell us. All right. They tell us that these guys compete. It tells you who has the nasty streak, who will fight you. It tells you exactly where you struggle and what you need to work on. And it's a great indicator of that. It's a great indicator of, okay, well, you lost some one-on-one reps. Okay, that's not the end of the world. Bryce Henderson doesn't all of a sudden suck at pass protection, right? He got beat. His footwork, whatever you want to call it, got exposed a little bit, and now he's going to go back in the lab. He's going to work on it. That's all that tells us. That is all it tells us, right? And, to get fired up one way or the other, I'm just fired up these guys are fighting, man. I'm fired up that these reps are intense. I'm fired up that, like, Khordae Sydnor is dominating folks. I'm psyched up that Bryce Henderson is mauling people in the run game. Will the other stuff improve? Hell yeah, it will. I'm excited that these guys taking it full circle, embracing the culture of toughness. Man, they get beat, man. They don't sulk. They don't go into the tank. Man, this team's different, man. I don't know. This team is an enhanced version of last year, bro. They're just different. I love it. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to let you start your week off like that, right? Through 4 days of camp, man, you can't tell me that this team, like, look, I'll be interested to see. I'm going to see if I can find it, but I'm going to be interested to see the first 4 days of camp last year, what the vibe was like. And I guarantee you it was this. Man, I'm concerned about this offense a little bit. I know with some of the reporting it was like that. But it's like, is this offense ever going to take off? Who's going to be at receiver? What are they going to do? What's this offensive line going to look like? This year you're nitpicking, but these guys are flat getting after it. And I love it, right? So, culture of toughness, 4 days of camp, keep getting better. Off-season program's working, all the above. Gotta love it. Shout out to Eli Stowers. He's doing his thing. You don't really hear about him, but it's all good. But with that being said, we're gonna let you go here. We'll continue on our coverage the rest of the week, talk about the biggest stories coming out of camp, why I think this team's going to be special, and different examples of this group exemplifying the identity and culture of toughness. And that's the centerpiece. We'll see you back here. Anchor down. Peace.